Hey there, I'm here in Chicago, Illinois, and I want to give you my take because today is a very interesting day. It is the day we celebrate the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King, but it's also the day that here in the United States we are inaugurating our president, Barack Obama. And there's a very interesting tension that's going on that because in many ways President Obama represents the culmination of some of Dr. King's vision, of some of his words, and some of his dreams, and in other ways, the community that helped Dr. Martin Luther King birth this resistance, birth this vision that has brought our society to a place where we can now have a president like Obama. That community still speaks, and so you find this tension between the ongoing prophetic word of the prophet and the community, the institution that Barack Obama now represents and is in charge of. And so, and here's how I think this plays out, because what happens is our society often takes the words of the prophet that is no longer around to speak for himself or herself, takes those words, and because they've spoken us to a new place, they've spoken us to a place of change, they venerate that prophet, and they do so sometimes by absorbing or co-opting the parts of the message that the society is comfortable with at that time, and they lop off or they ignore the pieces that they're not comfortable with, and we flatten our prophets. We turn our prophets into products, and I think that's not doing justice to the true voice of Dr. Martin Luther King. And so, a few simple things I'd say. I think that if there was anything, Dr. Martin Luther King was anti-violence. He would still be concerned about the violence we perpetrate in the Middle East and the violence we perpetrate on ourselves with guns and things like that. And I think he'd still be controversial. I think that he would be concerned about all the people in prison. We have the world's largest prison population, and they're in prison because of blue-collar crime, which is fine, but what about the white-collar crime? What about systemic injustice? Why don't bankers and people who steal lots and lots of money from the system, why don't those people ever find themselves in jail? So I would think you would still find the prophet speaking on things that make us uncomfortable. And so today I would call you to not flatten the prophet, to not make the prophet into product, but engage not only the pieces of the message that make you comfortable, but engage the pieces of the message that may still make our society uncomfortable, and choose to honor the whole words of Dr. Martin Luther King in a way that continues to move our society forward, because I believe he still has things to say to us that we have yet to acknowledge. So, that's all. Happy Martin Luther King Day.